We'll move on, though, to our last topic. And we talked enough about offense. We talked quarterbacks. We talked running backs. We kind of mentioned some defensive players in that Browns segment. But I want to end the show and the podcast, Mark, on one simple question. And I'll throw it out to you because I have no one else to throw it out to. Who will be the highest drafted defensive player when we get to May? Early on.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be Myles Garrett. It has to be.
It's got to be.
You love having a defensive end. You love having a pass rusher. You love having a guy who creates havoc. You know, that's what you really want. You want that the player that other teams are kind of afraid of. You know, you want that quarterback to say, I got to get this ball out of my hand fast because Myles Garrett's coming around. He's going to hit me. I don't really know why Jonathan Allen is the number one pick in this mock draft.
I have no idea.
I don't really understand putting him over Myles Garrett. You know, I don't see what it is, but what this is going to be to me is he's going to be the guy who, because we're having the Cleveland Browns, the San Francisco 49ers, the Chicago Bears. One of these teams is not taking a quarterback, assuming there's no trades. Probably multiple teams are not taking quarterbacks. So whichever one does not want the quarterback is going to take Myles Garrett, right? Because he's not going to stick around long. Let's say Cleveland goes with a quarterback. San Francisco goes for a quarterback. Yeah, sure, the Chicago Bears don't need Myles Garrett. But your quarterbacks just went. Why not trade back in that situation? There'll be plenty of teams that are sitting there going, what the hell is this guy still doing on the board? Let's get up there and let's go grab him. So I don't even think they're really falling as much of a potential for him. I still think that even if quarterbacks go ahead of him, a team is going to swoop in and he's going to be that number one defensive pick.
Well, and the big thing right now, the reason why I think that CBS has Allen as the number one pick over Garrett is because of the ankle injury that Myles Garrett has dealt with so far this season. However, and like it says right here, I'm reading it and I'll read it to you guys, but is a proven difference maker when healthy. That's going to, when we get to the draft, that's going to trump all.
For sure.
Look at Jadeveon Clowney. Look at him. Injured. Number one overall.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
When you have a talent, especially at the pass rush position, you take that. You don't kick a gift horse in the mouth. And that's what this would be, especially like right now, number one overall, the Browns. I don't kick a gift horse in the mouth. I go ahead and take Garrett even if he doesn't play day one. And I know that you're probably saying, well, Ricky, how did that work out for the Jaguars who took Dante Fowler? He got injured. I know his was more he got injured after he was drafted. And now it's kind of like Dante who and that Jaguar team. But
well, even Joey Bosa proved it, guy who had some injury issues, and he still was drafted really early by the Chargers.
This is a position, though, that you need because as the quarterback has more and more importance in the NFL because it is a passer's league. I don't need to tell you guys that. But because of that, you need to get that guy who can get after the quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. And even though I think Myles Garrett obviously is the best defensive player on the board, he's going to probably be taken as the top defensive player. I think you guys have figured out who my favorite defensive player is, and that's going to be Peppers here. Just for the versatility, I love that any team can draft this guy and use him.
But I don't know, and here's the thing, I don't know if a defensive back, I know that he can also play linebacker, so that may help him out. I don't know if a defensive back can rise to number one over a pass rusher.
I don't think that he can surpass the pass rusher. I mean, when you're thinking about one of those top picks, you want a guy who scores touchdowns or a guy who is hitting a quarterback.
Yeah.
Really, that's what it comes down to. Whether those are, passing the ball, catching the ball, whatever it might be. You want a top guy like that. You want a guy who's impacting like that situation. Now, obviously, a safety, a corner, possibly linebacker is not making that same effect, but that's a guy who top 5 pick for me. One of my favorite defensive players, like I'm saying, if not my favorite defensive player here, just because I love the versatility. Like I'm saying, any player or any team can go out there and put him in this defense, and he will make that impact. Yeah, sure. Myles Garrett's probably your sure thing number one, but this is just a great pick that I think somebody, even going number 5 to the Jets, The Jets are counting their lucky stars in that situation. They're feeling blessed. #blessed. And it's a great pick. You're not upset about that at all.
Is that a little hashtag pandering from Mark to our younger viewers out there with the hashtag
blessed? Just quoting a little Bruno Mars, because I hear that song on the radio nonstop.
But I think the big thing with these defensive players is it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be that wild card. Because right now we're talking about Garrett. We talked about a little bit about Allen only because CBS has him at number 1. We talked about Peppers. But I have an inkling there's going to be that guy. Maybe it's an offensive guy. Could be a defensive guy, though, that just catapults off the draft boards. A guy who has a phenomenal combine. A guy who has a phenomenal workout where really I think the combine is a little bit more important to me than the workout because you should nail your workout. You're doing it at most likely the college that you're at. It's a comfortability thing. It's you're going through your motions. The combine's a little different. You're outside of your element. I feel like in the end, Garrett, Peppers, Allen might be the top ones, but it'll be interesting to see if like a Jamal Adams, safety from LSU. We have maybe like a Reuben Foster from Alabama, or even like a Tabor out of Florida. If one of these guys, or like a Malik, one position we didn't touch, we talked pass rusher inside, like a Malik McDowell from Michigan State, kind of makes a catapult up a little bit to get in the top 10.
Especially senior games, that's going to be something that always gets that one guy to really make a difference.
I know he's not a defensive player, but really the Senior Bowl is what helped Dak Prescott kind of get into the conversation to get drafted in the 3rd round.
Exactly, and you never really know with any of this. So to me, it's nice to have this first mock draft to talk about, one of these early mock drafts to talk about. So much is going to change. I mean, even guys we're talking about now are going to fall off the face of the earth, and other guys are going to come out of nowhere. A lot of college football still left to be played, a lot of meaningful games to be played, and teams do make a lot of those combines, of those pro days. They really do care about that. And, of course, you're going to have teams that just purely go, this guy has a lot of potential, blah, blah, blah. So the thing to remember, really, when we talk about these best players is so much is going to change. It doesn't really matter. And you also, of course, have the situation of the teams at the top easily can change, and then that changes everything. Maybe you got a team like Chicago somehow makes its way to number 1 overall, and they decide they're not taking a quarterback. Well, there's no way they're going to take Myles Garrett either. They're not going to take Myles Garrett. They're set at defensive end. They're set at pass rush. They don't need it. So much is going to change that it's just going to be interesting at this point to see. It's just as it is every single year. When you move forward, let the guys play. Let all the hype start building, all the rumors start going, and that's when it gets fun.
That's the big thing, and I want to pose this. This is the random question I'm going to pose to the viewers and listeners. Who's that hype guy? Who's the guy, either offensive or defensively, that's going to be that guy that gets super hyped and everyone just kind of rallies around him to be drafted so high in the draft? But before I wrap things up, is there anything with the defensive players that we missed out on?
No, I don't necessarily think so. I think right now the safest thing to say, of course, is Myles Garrett. He's that safe guy. He's that safe pick. And a lot of times things don't change. You got to go with the sure thing when you're a top pick.
Well, I mean, look at how many times we've seen, this guy's going to be number 1 overall. And when we get to that time, boom, number 1 overall is that guy that we were most likely thinking.
You can't fuck it up when you're number 1 overall. You really can't.
But that is going to do it for the Onside Kick this week. I want to thank you guys for either watching on YouTube or listening on Blog Talk Radio. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. I'm at Ricky Widmer. Mark is at the with 2 E's, Mark Weber. Also, if you liked it, you liked watching it on YouTube, go check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. Just another way for you guys to help support the channel, support our videos, other than hitting that like and subscribe button. If you want to see more video podcasts like we're doing right now, this is a way to make sure that we have the avenues to do that for you guys. So go check that out. The link is down below in the description. But that is going to do it for the Onside Kick this week. I want to thank you guys one more time for either listening or watching. We'll see you guys next week. And as always, have a good day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod for more great podcasts.